First of all, if you come to my house after Three Kings Day and you see my tree is still up, no, you didn't. Well, hey there, my ruminators, my meditators, and other witches and pagans of YouTube. It's me, your boy Shane, and welcome back to my channel, as the case may be. The past couple of years, I've kind of paused and made a video looking back at my witchy year in review, at some of my witchtastic accomplishments and the lessons that I've learned. I've really found it to be a valuable exercise. I enjoy the look back and, kind of thinking about the fond memories, and I wanted to kind of keep that tradition alive and going. So my 2021 was a great year, a complex year, certainly. But there were a lot of highlights. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world still, but there were plenty of things to celebrate. Back in the spring, we did reunite our coven. My magical partner and I decided that once everyone was fully vaccinated for at least, 3 or 4 weeks, that it was time to start, cautiously, but time to start meeting up again in real time, in real space, for in-person circles. And that was lovely. That has been great. Additionally, we've taken on an outer court student for the first time since, I believe, 2018. Our last initiate was brought in May of 2019, and we have not had any new students since then. So he's a pretty cool guy. We're vibing with him really well so far, which is important. And that's been great. It's been great to kind of open that back up again and to open ourselves back up to the possibility of new blood. Because of the pandemic, we have also kind of developed a new hybrid model for our outer court training system, which has been really, really helpful. And pandemic or not, we will probably stick to the hybrid model going forward. And how that works is, we have kind of designed a curriculum of, lessons, exercises, things that we think that they should know and be able to do before, asking for initiation and before we decide if that's something that we want to move forward with. And that's everything from a brief description of what the Gardnerian tradition is and how the structure works and a little bit of the history of it. Some magical theory, magical techniques, divination, whatever. And then eventually, some sort of pagan rituals together just to see, what the energy is like. And I talk about all this at great length in another one of my videos. But, some of those things we've discovered don't really need to be in person. We can have a conversation about magical theory over Zoom. We can have a conversation about, the elements or the wheel of the year over Zoom, and, do some of the more hands-on stuff in person. So we're splitting our time pretty much half and half right now between meeting via Zoom and meeting at the Covenstead, and it's great. It's great. The nights where we don't have to drag ourselves out in midweek after work, or have our student drag himself out midweek after work, cuts down on a lot of travel time, fatigue, a lot of considerations. So the hybrid model is very cool. Very cool. That was a great takeaway from this year. We elevated one of our ladies to second degree high priestess in September, and that was well-deserved and long overdue because of COVID and because of just the chaotic nature of our lives. Things going on in my magical partner's life, things going on in my life, school, etc. This is something that we have been looking forward to for a really long time, and just kept kind of getting postponed and pushed back and rescheduled. So we had finally said, we were like, enough, we are doing it. We actually ended up doing it on my birthday, and everyone's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I don't care. It needs to happen. Because like I said, she has deserved this. She has worked really hard and has taken on a lot, and it was way past time. So it was wonderful to finally be able to celebrate that. And it's also, that's another thing that's a load off of my shoulders as well, because now that we have a second degree female, we have a second degree high priestess, there is someone to step in for me if I cannot be at circle. And that's a huge load off my mind, you know, like if I have a midterm or a final, or if I get stuck at work, to know that like that aspect of ritual is taken care of makes me feel a lot better. So it was a great decision all around. It was something to celebrate all around. That's coven business on a more, friends and community oriented kind of level. I stood up for a wonderful, wonderful old friend of mine in the capacity of her honor attendant at her Witchtastic September wedding. She is a wonderful witch, not of my tradition, but a fantastic witch, incredibly devoted and dedicated to her gods and her craft. And she married a Mason, and it was just the wildest, witchiest, most magical wedding you could ever think of. Like, they went whole hog. It was beautiful. And I made her wedding gown. It was a stunning, like, non-traditional, like, royal blue with, like, some silver corseting and a lot of, like, different, like, stars and moon kind of charm sewn. And it was just beautiful. And, like, the ritual was absolutely gorgeous. And just getting to party all night long with all witches and fun, hilarious people. And getting to host a witchy bridal shower was wonderful. And it was just so much fun. And it was great. I love seeing people, live out loud and authentically and just really lean in to their witchiness. And it was honestly a wedding like none other. And I was so, so privileged to be a part of it. So shout out to Sarah and Ariel. So that was great fun. I was on a podcast, That Witch Life, with Courtney, Kanani, and Hillary. We got to talk about a lot of really great topics, mostly dollar store witchcraft, although we did touch on some other things like what it's like being a non-binary person in a very binaried magical tradition, which is a super hot topic in the community right now for those of you who are not in the loop. So that was great fun. I've never been on a podcast before. I hope to do it again. I certainly have a bunch of friends with podcasts now, and it's always a good time. So that was a lot of fun. This channel was nominated for one of the 2021 Witchy Awards, which was so much fun. I ended up not winning, but definitely, like, congratulations to all the winners. It was just such great fun to be nominated and to be in some really good company. So I'm glad that the channel is taking off a little bit and people are finding value in it. I've said this many, many times before, but I do this primarily for me because I just have fun doing it. But I also like to create dialogue. I love to have conversation. I try to respond to all of the comments because I love that kind of back and forth. I love chatting with people. My parents used to say that I could make friends with the devil. So yeah, to that end, I did hit 500 subscribers this year. So that was a really fun milestone. I'm not under any illusions that, I'm gonna like be a famous whatever and make money off this channel and quit my day job and tour the world writing books about witchcraft and shit. Like, I mean, hey, if the gods have that in store for me, whatever, who am I to say no? But that's not really my aim. I just have fun. I like creating. I've created a lot this year. I did some more writing and more art than in previous other years. My partner and I are no longer together, unfortunately, but before we split up, we collaborated on like a couple of music videos because she's a hip hop artist. And that was fun. That was, not witchy, not on topic, but just getting to try creating in different forms than I've ever done before was a blast. So the videos, the YouTube, everything. I'm just having a really good time with it. On Patreon, I made 24 posts in 2021, and I'm trying to get more consistent and more regular posting there, and also just kind of refining the Patreon's content so that it's not quite so chaotic. So when I started up about, a year and a half, 2 years ago, other than knowing that I wanted to earmark all of the funds from the Patreon for nursing school expenses, I didn't really know like what I wanted to do with that avenue. I didn't know what I wanted to do, like what kind of content. I was just kind of throwing a little bit of everything out there, like not even like a throw it to the wall and see what sticks, but just kind of like an extension of this channel. How I don't exclusively make videos for beginners, and I don't exclusively make videos for Gardenarians, and I don't exclusively do like book or tarot deck reviews. Like I just do a little bit of everything because that's what I enjoy, a little bit of everything. But so the Patreon had started out like that, and then I definitely have made an effort over the past year to kind of boil it down and distill it down into a little bit more, not niche, but just a little bit more of a focused topic, where I talk about the intersections of witchcraft in nursing school, witchcraft in mental health, and self-care, and bringing magic into the kind of the modern era and into our daily lives. Which is still fairly broad, but trust me, it was a lot narrower than what I was doing. So, 20 videos on YouTube for the general public, 24 posts exclusive to my patrons, including 2 additional videos that are only available on Patreon. So that was nice. That was fun to do, like a little sneak peek behind the scenes, a little bit more into my personal life. And yeah, I'll move on, lest this begin to sound like a whole ass advertisement for my Patreon. On a more personal level, like I said, I covered coven, I covered community, I covered friends. For me personally, there were 2 things. And one was I established in my home a healing altar. And I said, if I'm going into nursing school, if I'm going into the nursing profession, I should probably start ingratiating myself to the deities of like health and healing, which is mostly a joke, but also a little bit not, right? Kernel of truth in every joke, and I should probably get familiar with those gods and goddesses. So I built an altar. It's big. I set up an altar on my sideboard in my living space. It's not tucked away in my bedroom. It's not on a little shelf somewhere. It's pretty large and in charge, and also out for everyone to see who enters my apartment, which was a big step for me. But I've got some statues on there, a lot of little dishes and places and flower vases where I make regular offerings to, I've got Bridget and Hermes and Hygeia and Sekhmet, and candles in the appropriate spots and places to burn incense. And I've just been, starting to develop a relationship to kind of, introduce myself and say, hey, I'm interested in having a relationship with you. I want to know who you are. I want you to know who I am. This is why. And it's felt really good. It's felt really right. And then the second thing, which sort of ties into this, but also is separate, is I have made my personal practice a lot more regular and consistent. So I don't really have like a daily practice. Some people are like, a lot of people will tell you, especially like if they're giving out beginner tips, like, oh, get into a daily practice. If you're a witch, if you're a pagan of any kind, you gotta have a daily practice. And I don't, and I almost never did. That just doesn't suit my lifestyle. I don't have a regular and consistent schedule. It's just not something that ever worked for me. God knows I've tried at various points in my life. But I am getting more regular and consistent with things like small things I've done in my home to mark every full moon. Small things I've done in my home to mark every new moon. Making offerings to certain deities on specific days of the month or whatever. The things that I have done for my personal spiritual life and my personal practice, I got a lot more regular and consistent with this year. And I'm very pleased with that. I'm very pleased, first of all, I'm proud of myself, because that was a change. That was a big change for me. And I'm pleased with the results, the rewards that I'm reaping from that. So it's been really nice. Like I said, overall, 2021 was probably not the year that any of us wanted to have. I'm sure we were looking forward to like, when COVID is over, which is starting to sound like when I'm a millionaire. you know, we were looking forward to things being different, and for a little while they were, and then they weren't. But there were definitely a lot of moments to celebrate, and I made sure that there were moments to celebrate, because that's important too. It's important not to just find the moments, but to make the moments. That being said, I'm really looking forward to 2022. Looking hopeful. I'm looking forward to going back to school. I'm not looking forward to the soul-crushing amount of work, but I am looking forward to continuing my education. We have, I believe, not to jinx it, but I believe we have 3 students starting our outer court curriculum at the end of January. So that's going to be great. And I just look forward to where the year takes me and to where it takes you all. If you have any accomplishments or wins or successes that you want to share, whether witchy or not, please let me know in the comments. I would love to celebrate those things with you. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Trying to find a spot where there's like not a ton of glare. That's not happening. Maybe in 2022 I'll learn how to make like these beautifully aesthetic videos with like gorgeous nature scenery and tinkling music in the background. Probably not though.